Hello guys, welcome back. Do we have all the participants? Okay, so do we have the person who's asked us to start after 10 minutes? Sorry, I don't know his name on his WhatsApp. So someone requested to start after 10 minutes. So is it you, Pratap?
No, Sagar. No.
Okay. All right. So meanwhile, let's just interact for 2 to 3 minutes. So guys, how was your day one? I mean, how was your class one? And have you guys received your web portal, lab access, welcome kit?
Not yet, Sagar. We are still waiting for it.
Okay. So I'll just tell you the process. I'll tell you the flow. So we are providing you guys some Google form, and you guys are supposed to fill that up, and our backend will then work on all the required access. And once the setup has been done, then they send you an email, okay, with the subject line welcome kit and automation, blah blah blah. So you can search for an email with a subject line welcome kit. So this should contain login credit to the web portal, so which is where all the Google Drive and the recordings would be put up. Then the lab access login credential, Slack community join link, okay, and a 24/7 one-click assistance email ID. So this would be the content of your welcome kit. So those guys have not filled the G form or have filled it a bit late, then you will receive it on the next day. Okay. So our backend works between 9 to 5 p.m. So they might have missed a few who joined recently. So in that case, just wait for next day. And if you don't receive until evening, just put down on that WhatsApp group, and I'll just follow up and get you this welcome kit.
So Sagar, I got an email saying just welcome to the Network Journey online learning platform. Is that the welcome?
Yes, that is the welcome kit.
Okay.
With the welcome kit written on inside a bracket. So I'll just copy because I have one of the email copy with me. So this is the subject line that we use while we send this information.
Okay.
Okay.
So it doesn't say that. So when I log in, right, I have the credentials. It says me to. It doesn't show me. Let me see my courses. Okay. Yeah, it shows in my courses. Massive viewer.
Okay. So this is the email, by the way. This is the email which will contain all the necessary credentials, and then you can log in. I can show you the login part as well. It is pretty simple. If you follow that email.
Sagar, sorry to interrupt. So I have gotten email, and you remember, like I had already enrolled a few weeks back. So I have an access for the portal, but not sure where the lab part is. I'm not able to see any lab or anything like that.
But did you receive this welcome kit email?
Okay.
Any email with this subject line?
Okay, so let me check that.
Yeah. And also, did you fill the G form? Because if you have not filled it, yeah.
I had filled like the one in which we talked about like a couple of weeks ago. I had filled that. But I want to we can fill this again now.
Yeah, because we shared one recently. We shared a Google form. That's the updated one. So I'll just put down in the WhatsApp group once again. So this is the Google form which our backend is, following up.
Sure, then I'll fill that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So those guys have not filled. Please fill it up, and then you receive the welcome kit, and which will have these credentials. So let me just, go ahead.
I filled it in evening, but I didn't receive any email. Maybe shall I check with sales team? Like this name is Sagar, I guess, right?
Sorry, Shravanti, your voice is not very clear.
I filled it in evening, but I'm still waiting for the link to, link in my email address.
Okay, sure. I mean, if you have filled it and have not received it, then I'll update the backend and they will roll out. Okay, it will be next Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. So how do you log in? I'll just show quickly 2 minutes. So this is the web portal where all the recordings would be placed. Click on login button and let me take some credential. All right. So logins directly go. By the way, the credential directly go to your inbox. Okay. So you should type your registered email ID and let's say if I have something test user. Yeah, so this is how I log in. So for you, in case you will put down that URL, username is your registered email ID, and uh, and that password would have been sent to you in a separate email. So just search for network journey credential or something, and you will receive it. So once you log into that, you might see a lot of courses. Here is where people get confused. They start clicking on some random courses, then they say that it's asking me to pay, etc., etc. That is not the right way. You should click on the tab which says my courses and click on that tab. Okay, so when you click on that my courses, the course that you are enrolled for would be assigned under your email ID. So let's say for an example, something is assigned to me. Let's say F5 is assigned to me. So I can click over here and I can see all the recording day by day. So the recordings are after your live classes. Okay, there won't be any recordings before the classes. So when I finish the class, the same recording will take 2 to 3 hours to get uploaded on the portal. So it goes day by day wise. And class 0 will have some links towards the G drive. So I'll tell you what is the content of G drive. So when you log into your web portal, when you go towards class 0, you will find G drive. So here is where your study materials, PDF, DevNet notes. You want assistance on home lab setup, then you can take the ready-made OVA file and just email us, and we will guide you with the home lab setup. But as I told you, we have already given you 3 months of rack server access to. So you can use our rack server as well, which is free of cost, included in the package. Remember, for home lab setup, you must have minimum of 16 plus GB RAM on your system. Otherwise, the setup will not work. So if you have 4 GB, 8 GB, please don't go with this. You are just wasting your time as well as our time on fixing that. Okay, so you prefer going with the lab access only in that scenario. All right. So that was, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I went to the courses and it shows me, it doesn't show me any the course for this Python Sagar.
I think you have not received welcome kit yet, right? So probably they have not rolled out your this one access yet.
Okay. Okay.
That is why you will see an empty portal right now.
Okay. Got
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So by the way, when have you filled the G form? Was it Indian hours before 9 a.m. or something, or?
No, so the G form, I don't know. I don't remember filling the G form. I didn't.
Okay. That might be,
But
that is
just
the gap.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can see 7 to 8 people have received welcome kit. Mohammad Hussein, Jitin, Shantanu, Prashant. Okay, and rest I don't see. So might be you guys must entering G form and could not
Okay.
get this by time. But no issues. You will receive at earliest. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So that was about web portal. Lab access. Let me tell you how would the lab access look like. So that's a URL. I usually bookmark all my lab because all our labs have different IPs. So for me, bookmark works the best. So you guys also can bookmark it so that you don't have to refer email. I also save my credential onto the browser itself. So this is how we take the IP, enter the credential. Credential is also put up in that welcome kit email. Log into this. And when you log in, it will take you to your lab topology. It will have these type of vendors. So some Cisco routers, switches, ASA firewall, Juniper, VRX. So this is VRX and this is Arista switches. In case if you need any other vendor, then let us know. We will put it in your machine. Okay, we have some other lab as well. So not necessarily required that everyone should have Palo Alto installed or F5 installed for testing. Okay, we have a separate lab where we keep some instances always powered on. So like we have some different lab where we have Palo and Big IP. So in case you're working over on Palo vendor, so you can just ask us for a Palo Alto IP and we will provide you that IP. Okay, and you can just test whatever script you want to test or whatever automation you want to do it. So we have all majorly used ones. Now don't ask for something which is not very commonly used. So Palo we have, Checkpoint we got, FortiGate we have, ASA FTD we got, Big IP FI LTM module we have. So these are something which on request we give it. Otherwise, what happen, even if it is not required for the student, they usually come and power on the complete nodes and just exhaust our servers, and the other student will face difficulty using the lab. So that's why we have kept the limited resources here, and on request we will give the IPs to them, so you can just run automation script on them. Yeah, any doubt guys? Sorry, I heard someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sagar, for ACI, I need for ACI and for what?
For ACI, we will not give the lab, but I'll give you another way to use ACI lab.
You mean to say sandbox?
Yeah, sandbox. ACI, SD-WAN, Meraki, this all you can use from sandbox.
I need for a FortiGate firewall and
FortiGate we can provide you.
No.
Okay. So those guys who require any special vendor, just send us email. I'll also tell you the email ID over here. So you just write email ID asking which vendor you want, and we will provide you the IP. Okay, and you can just automate them for your studying purpose.
Sagar, one question. So, like this is the server. This is running on EVNG, if I'm not wrong, and I have already, Palo Alto ASA EVNG running on my system. So, to set up assistance, as you said, so you will be providing me the what do you say, OS of like example FortiGate or Checkpoint, and help me out in creating the lab, right?
See, actually,
In
we
my
don't
system.
we don't give OS for any vendor, but we will assist you how to get them from the official website. Okay, because most of the OS you can get by registering with your email ID. So all those assistance we will do it. So you have to just book one appointment with this technical people, mention your availability, and then they will contact you with the WebEx team, and they will set it up, the home lab setup. Okay.
So Sagar, this lab, is it for each user, or it will be like we have to reserve it prior the session?
No, it is all individual instances. You don't have to erase anything.
Okay.
These are all your instances, but this could be shared once. This goes on a request basis. So those who need Palo, they can reserve it and use it. Okay. And we don't mind blocking it for a week as well. If there is no one who needs Palo Alto, we can block this for that particular student as well. Okay. But
Okay.
this lab diagram with all Cisco, Arista, Juniper. This is all for you for 3 months of validity. So everyone has their own login credential. So there is nothing shared here. This is your own instance. You can do anything with this particular lab.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Prashant.
Actually, I'm using a remote lab which you provided over the mail. Is EVNG there, or we have to use the JNS3?
Yeah, for you, I think it's given GNS version, right? Yeah, you can use GNS version. No issues. GNS is
Okay.
also one of the most stable emulators.
Okay.
Okay, you
Okay.
can use GNS, and if you need any other platforms, you can just send us email, and we will provide you the IP with the credential, and you can use it to automate.
Okay, sure.
All right, so that was regarding to the lab credential Slack community. Now, what is Slack community? We all are connected over WhatsApp, but still we are maintaining Slack community because all our codes, the scripts, uh, I mean, if I am sharing, or in case you are writing and you are sharing, we will follow up on only on Slack. Okay, let's not share any code on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is just for, like generic communication. So whatever important thing might get missed out. And if a lot of people are practicing, or they are facing some issue, this WhatsApp start beeping sound, and for some people it would be night, for some it would be day, right? So it is annoying, lot of messages on that. So that is just for your general communication. Slack is where you can share your code, broken code, working code. I will also share the code after each classes on the Slack, so that you can go and practice. Though I will upload on the web portal as well. So if you see that, all my scripts will be put up below the recordings. So you can also take it from there. Say, for example, when I did class 2 live classes, whatever script was discussed, it was put up here as a download file. So people can go and download it. So this takes some time, 2 to 3 hours, but you guys might be after the class, you might want to practice instantly, right? So for that, I will put up on the Slack community. So if you guys have not ever worked on Slack, it's like a messenger uh, which retain all the formatting. So that's a best way we can share the code. So I have seen multiple groups where I used to share, where student used to share their codes. They started writing their own thing, started giving the error. Okay, so this is a best platform for all technical discussion. Rest you can use WhatsApp. All other things you can use WhatsApp. No issues. Okay, and this link is also present in the welcome kit. So this is all about welcome kit. I hope once you receive it, now you know what are the content of that welcome kit, and just uh, take care of all of these things. And if you are stuck anywhere, send an email or send a screenshot on the WhatsApp, and we will guide you. Okay. All right, so that was regarding to all the infrastructural thing. So any questions so far? Any doubts so far?
Sagar, if you are having with the sandbox topics, how you will show us it can
Which one?
ACA topics when you're telling about the sandbox. So directly
Yeah,
we can start with the coding or with the Postman scripts, or how the API would work on that in this case.
actually didn't get your question. Are you asking how to register for Sandbox?
No, there is one default username and password for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean to say, if you are creating a tenant or anything, we require the API, right? API username or something.
Yes.
So in that case, how we can get all those details?
You have to have the necessary ACI management IP and the necessary credential. And when you make the API call, you will fetch the API keys, which you have to update, send via HTTP header, and make all the rest of call like tenant or EPG or the rest of the configuration there. That what you're asking, or?
Yeah, that's fine. When we start with the ACI, I will ask the question.
Yeah. Let's not jump from one topic to other. Okay. So I'll come to all this topic one by one. All right. So guys, let's start with some topic for the day. So I'm gonna do some tool installation now that is required for us. So we need Python, we need PyCharm, we need Postman, at least not for now, but when we start with the API. Okay. And the EVNG, which is already set up. So this is for someone who wants to build their home lab setup. Okay, so to download Python, we go to the official website, python.org, and there are different platform: Windows, Mac OS, Linux, etc. So if in case you guys are using Windows machine, then this is the latest version, 3.10.7, and you can go with 64-bit because most of Windows package are 64-bit now. So this is how we get that file. It's usually a exe file. Copy link address. So let me show you the extension. So you see that it says zip, and when you finish the download, you can extract it. It will be a exe file. Follow the on-screen method. Okay, just a 8 to 9 MB of programming language. So let me keep this here. Python. Okay. About PyCharm, the ID where we would write the script and we would perform the testing. Okay. Now you will see two variant: professional and community. Don't go with this because this is a paid version. They might give you first 30 days of free, but then they start annoying you by asking license key and payment. So don't go with that. This is the one which you have to prefer, the community version. It's a free one and it's open to use it. Okay, so that is the second tool we need it. Then we need something for API testing, which we can go with Postman. There are many alternatives. For each one, there is an alternative. For PyCharm, you can just see the alternatives. All your Visual Studio, Atom, Eclipse, VS Codium, Sublime Text, Notepad. There are a lot of alternatives here. But I have used this for last 2 to 3 years. So this is my favorite. You guys might have also used this. This is also one of the stable version. For MacBook, Atom is more stable. That is what I have heard from a lot of people. So this is more stable for Mac OS. Rest I have not tested. I would not advise them to be used. Okay, you can go with PyCharm, Microsoft Visual Studio, or Atom. Atom if you are a MacBook user. Otherwise, you just go with PyCharm or VS Studio. Okay. And for Postman, there is an alternative which is called as Insomnia API. So this is also very good tool, very lightweight tool. It does the job. But we are little bit used to Postman, been using Postman for last 1 to 2 years. So I would recommend this. But yeah, if in case you want to use an alternative, then Insomnia is also a best platform for you guys. Okay, it's very lightweight and set to do the job for all API calls. So this comes here. And EVNG, you just leave it on us because that's a all time consuming process. We have made it easy. by giving you the server or by giving you the home lab setup. So just leave it on us. So rest of the thing you can check. If it is not installed, you can install it. So when you install, let's say the first and the second. Okay, so let me open up one by one. Let's say if I want to open up the backend of Python. So there is a Python idle. Normally we call it as a backend of Python, where we can write the script, but it has some limitation. It don't have error correction, error detection, pop-up, though you can do all your print statements. Okay, but not very preferable one. There's a lot of limitation here. So we would not go with the Python's own idle. Instead, we would prefer going with some professional tool like PyCharm or Microsoft Visual Studio. So let me show you. Let me just create a new window. So let's say new project. Okay. And I'm just gonna name it, saying that this is a April week day batch. So what are the things to be noticed here? The project name, it could be any name that you wanna give it. What environment you are gonna use, because as you know, there are different programming language, but what is that we are picking? We are going with Python. Okay, so we will make sure that step number 1 is installed and it's been detected. If that is not installed, so your interpreter would be showing as not recognized, which is not good. Okay, this is very important step. Your PyCharm must know or must detect Python in the backend. Okay, until this is done, don't start writing your script. Your script is not going to give you any output. So PyCharm should detect Python installed on your operating system. So that is why I purposefully put first point to be Python, because when you finish this installation and when you go with PyCharm, PyCharm will automatically scan your operating system and find out this. In case if it don't find out, you have the browse option. You can click on this and you can just say that I just installed Python on the different directory. So just take it from here. Okay. So that integration, you guys have to check it out when you create a new project. And that's all. You just say create new window. It's gonna prepare the interface or the terminal for you where you can start writing your script. Okay, it says that creating some virtual environment. So let's wait for 2 to 3 seconds and yeah, it's done. So this is how a brand new terminal is in front of you. Okay, a dummy project comes to you, which is of no use. You can just close it off. Okay, and you can start your own project with your own title. Now let me just walk through on this particular application. So this application, as I told you, is called as PyCharm. Is a IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Here is where you will start writing your script, which you can compile, which you can test, which you can debug, which you can run, execute. Okay, all the things to be done from PyCharm. You will never even touch the Cisco box. You will never even log into a box via SSH or something. Whatever you want, you can do it from this particular application. Let me show you all the different options here. So this is all your top menus. You want to create a file, you want to edit, you want to view some old files, you want to execute or you want to edit the code, you want to execute or debug. This is for version control. Let's say you want to make a GitHub account and all your local script, you want to put it on a centralized GitHub account. I don't know how many of you know about GitHub, but we have that topic in the DevNet syllabus. So I will show you all this integration as well. How do you integrate PyCharm with the centralized GitHub? Okay, so you just write your script on your local machine and you can put it on the cloud as well, and you can tell your colleague or someone that it's on the repo. You can take the script from there. Okay.
Sagar, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
like, I just saw like a couple of days ago, you had, I think Abdullah shared something other than GitHub. It's something called the new version that has come out, GTS or something. So, will that also
Git.
be shown? Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I think you also made an account, so I
Yeah, so see, this is the centralized library.
Hmm.
Okay, and let me say that PyCharm is here. So if I have to integrate PyCharm with GitHub, there are some backend Git operations that happens. Okay, like Git clone, Git delete, Git duplicate, all those things. Operation Git add. Okay, so that happens in the backend. But the good thing about PyCharm is we will never bother about what is happening in the backend, because after all, it's a dashboard. I click here, I will say that create a repository. I'll just click some buttons and it is done. But we never know what happened in the backend. So to check that backend, I mean, the software developers who don't have access to this front end or this application, they can still clone it, update to the cloud. There is a tool which they download it. It's called as Git tool. Okay, and from here they can manually write it, Git clone this particular repository, Git add this particular repository, and everything can be done manually as well. So this is a manual method of all cloning, adding, etc., etc. Whereas the same job you can do it easily on PyCharm as well by few clicks. Okay, so that is about the Git operations, which is the backend calls that is making. GitHub is your centralized library or portal.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Kedar, you had some doubt. Sorry, I saw you unmuted.
No, like I had a doubt regarding. So basically, I'm using Atom, but not as a ID. I'm using as text editor, and then I use PowerShell to execute. So do I need to use PyCharm, or can I do that way? That works.
Which tool you have right now?
I have Atom as text editor, and then I execute my files in PowerShell. So
Okay. Atom is good. Atom has all the error detection and all the, so Atom is fine. Okay. But if you would have said you're using PowerShell, then I would not have recommended, because PowerShell is very basic terminal where you do not have option of error correction and
yeah,
debug.
no. So I edit, like I'm using Atom as text editor. So I'm just writing my codes in Atom and then executing them on PowerShell.
PowerShell, yeah, that is fine. That is fine. Okay.
Okay.
What about Sublime Text? Is that
Sublime I will not recommend, because they don't have any error corrections or error detections. Okay, so when I say that, let me also give some example. What does that mean? Say, for example, when you write some program, say, let's say this is some program I have called some library. Okay, so when I just put one single character here, let me show this way. Let me just zoom this. So let's say if I take this thing and I just write it something like this, so it will start showing me, all the pop-ups. What are the things? And so this is something which you will see only in the professional IDs, not on Sublime. And when you hover on them, you can also see what exactly that particular function or that particular syntax is gonna accept, all those things, all different attributes. See, for example, see if I just hover on them. So do you see that small pop-up saying that what is that function, what are the attribute that it will take? So this is all happen only on professional tools, not on Sublime and Notepad++. So I would not recommend them. Okay.
Oh, sure.
And also there is one more there is one more benefit, that is, if you see the small button, okay, this is giving you an overall count, how many errors you have, how many warnings you have. So let's say if I do some mistake here, let's say I purposefully take out some column from here by just clicking backspace. Now what happens? I have not executed my script, but my script has that capacity, that this platform has a capacity to identify that error quickly. Okay, I can just go to that button, that red color button. I'll click on it and it will show me what is the error, what could be the error. So it says that it is expecting something. So from beginner perspective, I would always recommend go with professional tool. But once you have done quite number of script writing, then it's your choice. You can take up any platform and you can perform the automation. Okay. All right. So let me come back to this. As I was telling, all the top menus. On the left hand side is your workspace. So on this left hand side, you will start seeing all the scripts that you're gonna write shortly. So they start appearing here like a history or bookmarks. You can just see them. You can just open it and use it. And apart from that, there is a separate column here. So you see this. This is one. This is the main category. Within that category, there are certain files, and there is another category over here. So the second category is all about your external libraries. Okay, Python has thousands of library, and we are the ones who have to decide which library I'll pick right now. So I also was telling this in the last class. If I get a requirement from a small scale customer and they have only Cisco platform, and they are very new to automation, they just want to automate VLAN configuration, taking backup, and might be some basic show commands. So I don't have to spend time on writing bunch of lines, taking up netmiko. I can go with very light program like PyNTC or NEPAM. Okay, now these are external libraries which we need to install it. So I go to file. Okay, I go to settings. Over here under the project, under the Python interpreter, this option. Okay, so by default there wouldn't be much library installed, only those basic libraries which lets the other library to download. You might heard about pip is the package manager in Linux, which let other library get downloaded, and rest is just some setup tool. They are not any SSH libraries, right? So now if I want to install, let's say PyNTC, I'll click on this plus button, the plus button over here, and I say that I need PyNTC. It's like your Android Play Store. If you remember, I gave you one example. I buy a smartphone. It's a Android. I go to Play Store. I search for music player. I get lot of recommendation, and from there I will see the reviews. I will see how much it costs. I'll see whether that's of my choice or not, and then I download and I start using it. So similar way, let's say we have decided to go with PyNTC. If see, for example, if I don't search for anything, you can see by default there are thousands of them. So they are all just listed here. They are not downloaded on our setup. To download it, we just search for that library. Okay, it says that this has been so and so description. This is the version. This is the author and the author email ID. I just click on install package. Click on this. Okay, it takes just 20 seconds to just install that. It's very light library program.
Now this is like apt-get on Linux.
Sorry, come again.
Is this like apt-get install kind
yes,
of?
correct. Yes,
oh, awesome.
using the pip method. Okay.
This is good. Okay.
Yeah, pip install PyNTC kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, see, now you can see that message saying that is being successfully installed. Okay. Now, when I say it is successfully installed, technically what happens is that Go that gets downloaded and come to your local directory on your IDE platform. Okay, where it go and sit is inside this folder. So if I just open that particular menu, now you will see this particular package called PyNTC. So it's over here. Okay, so this is the library. This is the Python library, which was somewhere online. Now we just have downloaded it and it goes and sit here. So once it's over here, then I can just call it inside my script by going to File, New. I say it's a Python file. I give a name. I say that this is a backup script, ssh.py. Okay, and then I can just call that particular library. I can say that from PyNTC import NTC device as NTC. Okay, so you can see this particular line, which is nothing but calling this package. Okay, now you can start writing your script. Now the script is based on PyNTC module or PyNTC library, and that library should be locally present in your PyCharm platform or whichever platform you're going to use it.
What does this library contain?
What does library contain? Library will contain a lot of things.
No. When you install this PyNTC, like what, like studio.library, the C programming will be the right studio.library or something. So what
Your audio is little bit low. Sorry.
No, I mean to say, like in the C programming, studio library.h, it contains a lot of things, right? Like in the PyNTC, when installed, like what exactly it will execute backend device. Like if you are giving square bit of zip, it will take it, or why we are using this particular PyNTC. That's what.
So let me show you the source code for PyNTC. So this is the source code, okay, for PyNTC. And if you open up the package, you can see the different vendors and the templates that they have put up. So PyNTC supports this platform: Air OS, ASA device, base device, EOS, F5, iOS. And if you open one of them, let's say if I open iOS device, so it will consist of each functions here, different types of functions here. So do you see this functions defined here? So this is how the functions are defined. Okay, and this portion, the portion within the parenthesis, is called arguments. And this is nothing but a short form of define. This is the function name. So this is the content of your modules or libraries. So libraries will contain a lot of functions. Let's say function for SMTP, functions for SNMP, function for SSH connection handler. Let's say function for time delay. So all this functionality will be coded with some block of codes, right? So whole together, if you just saw when you opened up this iOS file, it will consist of several lines here. Might be more than 1,000. Okay, so someone has written the 80% of file for us already. The header is already written. We are just developing the scripts now. We are just writing the script based on these functions. Okay, so function, or let's say the library, which is having all different functionalities, is being coded by someone, full stack developers. We network automation engineers are just doing 20% of the work. We are just writing a script to take a backup. So it's not that I write a script without calling this functionality. I have to call that functionality, and then my script is now 100% good. So 80% here and 20% on the script. Let's say I start writing a script to configure some VLAN. So 20% of the job I do it here, whereas 80% is there, and together collectively it's 100% now. Okay, so library is must. You have to decide which library you want, and then parallelly you will write all short codes for you. Might be a script to fetch Excel, might be a script to fetch some show outputs or configuration, bulk configuration. You will write it in your script, which just contribute 20%. The rest 80% is put up by someone, some developers. Okay. And also remember, these 80% not always need to be Python. They can also be coded in a Java program. So if some enterprise has a good Java developers, they can develop the whole package in Java code, and the rest 20% you can make use of Python scripting. You can prepare your Python scripting, you can call that library, you can call that functions, and you can prepare your script and you can get the job done. So the library is not necessarily always a Python. It can be Java. If someone is good at C, C++, they can also code in that. But that's the major part. Okay, that's the 80% where the developers test it, contribute to this Python community. And these are all open source. You can also take this, rename it, put more functionality, say that this is so and so XYZ, and put on the community. And if someone find more potential, then people will start liking your library. It's all open source. Okay. So Mohammed, does that answer your question?
Yes, actually, we have to modify as per our requirement from this, the open source, whatever the developer has put, just we have to modify them.
No, we don't majorly modify anything until or unless if it is very minor thing like timeout or some very minor thing. Rest of the things, it's already been coded in the program. So that is why I said we have lot of options. If PyNTZ is not fetching you the requirement, then you can go with NetMiko. If NetMiko is not good, then you can go with Norneo. But if you think about doing something, there is chances you can break the entire package. Okay, it needs a very a full-time developer who knows the core advanced Python, who can code it. In that case, you can do it. You can alter most of the things. Otherwise, we have options to pick any of the library and go with them.
Sagar, one question. So these are all the standard libraries, right?
There is nothing. No, there is nothing called standard. There is nothing that any vendors have officially declared that NetMiko is the standard or Norneo is the standard. But yes, these are the most tested ones. Most of the customers have this package installed. Okay.
Okay.
So like that is why we can
few libraries.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so we have let's say in real world environment, when I talk about, so I have like 3 or 4 libraries. So it's up to me to choose which one is the right one, and
Yes.
like all the libraries, and 20% of the Python script which I'm writing, it's upon me. How do I modify? How do I write that 20% of code, right?
Yes, when it comes to Python, yes. When it comes to some other languages, let me also clear that even official vendors also contribute to that. Let's say if Cisco has to contribute anything for ACI, and this technology is not much used, so they can prepare some SDK package, software development kit. So they have a ACI toolkit, okay, which works on ACI. Similar way, SD-WAN technology. because these people also are encouraging the automation, and these latest technology is something which they can, or their engineers only can bring up these network automation solution. So these are all part of SDK model, so which consists of all APIs, Python script, etc., etc. And when you go to Ansible has a flavor called as Ansible Galaxy, and over there you can see Cisco contributing the package. Palo Alto has contributed Ansible. So more contribution goes over on SDK and Ansible Galaxy. The official people have not so far pulled any standard or official module yet for at least Python, because it's a open source and people can tweak it by themselves, right? And already there are good number of module as well. All right, so where was I? So we just saw PyCharm, the interface of PyCharm. We saw the installation part. All right, so just a quick check to know where you guys stand, because in the next class then I can just prepare some more basic on this then. So I'm just gonna put some random questions. You let me know your understanding about it, okay? So that I get to know that you guys are familiar with this topic. So do you guys know what is variable in Python?
Variable where we can store the particular list or any value.
Mm, some part is proper, some part is not proper. Store what? List? You can't store something else?
Just you can store any integer value also.
Mm-hmm.
Like a name also you can define.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about others? What is your interpretation about variables?
Variable are like placeholders. You can assign any value as per your requirement. So
Yeah.
it basically gives you flexibility to remove the hard coding within your program.
Okay. So see guys, let me
Like
tell you.
store values.
Yes. Yeah, values or data. Okay. So any piece of information, like let's say username, password, IP address. So these have some values there. Let's say admin is my username and the password is Cisco. Let's say IP address is 1.1.1. Okay. So these are some data. These are some data which you have to store it somewhere. So right now, where are you storing? You're storing it here. Okay.
Like
So
an
this,
integer value, you mean to say integer value.
yes. So this is integer. This is string. This is string. Okay. So the data that you're storing inside an empty container. So the definition of this would be a empty container where you can store the data. Data could be of any type, could be string or characters, or could be numbers, could be decimal. It could be anything, but something which you're storing inside an empty container. Okay. And this empty container you can transmit. You can just transmit from your machine towards the end box, and you can also receive back the data from that back to your machine over on that variable. Okay, it's like a placeholder or a container, empty container where you can place something. So have you guys heard about data structures? So I just talked about data right now, like username, password, numbers. So that's a hint for you guys. Have you heard about data structure?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. What all data structures we have?
Uh, Data structure basically defines the type of data. There are some inbuilt, data types available like integer, string, characters, list. If I talk about Python, then we have list, we have dictionary, we have tuples, we have set. Uh, we do have array as well. Inside,
Array is not different thing. Arrays are these lists and tuples and sets. Okay. So
Like
yes,
queue and stack like this.
sorry.
Queue and stack the data structure.
Okay, so let me put here. So string integers. Okay, these are single piece of data. Single piece of data. That means, let's say I want to store port number. So I can say 44. Now this is a piece of information, right? It's a single piece of information. Similar way, let's say I wanted to have a username set as admin. Now this is also a piece of information or password. Now there are certain times where we want to carry multiple datas, okay, collections, or I can also say arrays, collections of data. Now that is where your all list and tuples and the rest of things comes. Let's say list and you have tuples, you got set, and you got dictionary. Now these are the few methods where you can put multiple data. Now when do you need multiple data? Let's say assume that your script is interacting with 10 devices. Now there is a necessity of keeping 10 device in a variable. Say something like let's say multi-device equals to, you want to define all your IPs within this. Okay, device 1, device 2, device 3 till device 10. Okay, now this is set of collection, arrays, we call it as arrays, multiple data we need it. Or let's say you are pushing multiple show commands. Now you can keep 10 commands within this list and you can push it in a single script. You don't have to write 10 script to run 10 different commands. You can club them. It has to be put in a collection, okay, which is a list. We can use a list and we can just send across. Okay, so we'll discuss on each one of them in the next class. I'll also talk about the 3 properties here. One, if they can be changeable, mutable, or immutable. And we will talk if they can be accessible, can we delete, can we modify, and also we will discuss if there is duplicate allowed in these. Some allows duplicate, some don't allow duplicate. So there are certain properties which make them different from each other. Otherwise, why 4? We can just put list, right, for all the reasons, or for all the for all the scenarios. We could have gone with 1 alone. Why 4? Because there are different properties that they make this 4 different from each other. So that properties we will discuss in the next class. Okay, and apart from this, the data structure, you might have heard about boolean, which has that true or false. There is something called as bytes. Okay, and there are some more like frozen memory, etc., but not from networking side that we are focused upon. These are some frequently used data structures in the network automation, in the network devices at least. Okay, also here inside this part, inside the integer, there are numbers. Okay, integer, float, and the complex, which is more towards the algebraic imaginary numbers, not for network automation at least. And float is all your decimal. Again, we don't see any network config or something which is in a decimal format. They all are in a numerical method. Okay,
Like it's a linear data structure.
Yes. Okay, so this is about data structure. We will see tomorrow with all examples. How is string written, how is string accessed, etc., etc. All right, so let's say, do you guys know what is print? The basic fundamentals?
To get the output results.
Yes, so to get the output. So if this is the output, what in Python is input? So let's say if
Sorry,
this is
repeat.
to
What?
get the output, so what in Python is to deliver the input? So
Read.
let's say input and output. You say that this is print function. So what could be this?
It is input. There is another function called input.
Yes, that's called input function. Okay. So input is something where you can ask user to type on the go. Say for example, I say x equals to input, enter the username. Okay, and if I execute this, so you can see that it is asking me for that particular value, and I can say it's a admin and enter. Now x is gonna get that value what I have typed here. Okay, that is called input method here in Python to provide the content or to input the content. Like how you have print to read something, input is to give something to that particular variable. Okay, these are IO, input output. So input using input function, O with the print function. Okay, so let's say, have you guys heard about open function? What does open do?
It opens the file.
Yes.
It will open
A file.
what
so
file?
that
Can it open all Excel and all?
If you have the Excel CSV module imported, then maybe yes.
Yes, it can open this file.
So open works good with all the notepads.
Yeah.
Okay. For all CSV and Excel, we have to have another third-party module to read from it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that I have some file here. Okay, somewhere in my directory. Okay, this is empty. Let me take something which is having some content. Let's say the credential, this file. So this is put up in C drive, user, and J executive, music, and so and so. So you're keeping your devices on some external file and you want to read the content. So guys, help me. How can I read something from that? So I say that I have put that open method, which you guys have told me to read the content of a file. So how can I use that in my script? How can I write something to read something from a notepad? So I'll go with that function, open method function.
Yeah, in parentheses, you can give the directory.
Yes. And then I will define the complete path within the parenthesis. Okay. And the file that I want to read it. So let's say the file that I want to read is called as multi-device.txt. So I'm gonna keep it. Now, when I do this, don't think this is gonna happen, because there are some characters, some Python characters which is getting overlapped with this operating system's path. So you see this part of your path, of your operating system path, is overlapping with Python's feature of /n, which means new line. So how do you get rid of this? Because you have to still say that this to be treated as a path, not as a Python overlapped functionality, right? So how would you avoid that?
Escape character.
Yes, so you can add some. Sorry.
We can use a double slash instead
Yes,
of
so you can
slash.
use double slash over here to go with the escape character. Most of the people, for uniformity, just add 2 forward slashes just for uniformity. But the actual thing, or the actual forward slash, is required wherever that particular thing is overlapping. Okay, so with the one which is showing in orange, that needs to be escaped. So I can just go with this. This is good. Otherwise, there is something else here called as raw method, R. So just type the lowercase r, and that will also do the job. Okay, this is called raw method. You don't have to put any escape characters now. Just adding this will also prevent any overlapping contents. So this is to read from that file. Okay, and then let's say that y equals to x dot read that content, and then let's print y. Okay, I'm just gonna run this. So when you do that, when you just execute this, so there are multiple play buttons. You can hit this green button. You also get some green buttons over here. You can right click and do the play button here. You can also go to this and hit the play button. So there are various options to run the job. Okay, so you can see me going sometime to this, sometime to this. So don't think that for some reason I'm going on each one of them. Okay, it's just to show that these are all possible method to run your script. So when you write the script, don't keep it just idle on that particular part. You have to run it. Okay, so to run that, you just right click on it and hit on that run button. So when you hit on that run button, you can see the content of this file which is being read. So if you open up that file, you can see it here. Okay, so let's say if you make some instant changes on a fly, just for our reference purpose, just to show you that these are happening on all in a real time perspective, let me hit the play button now, and you can see that immediate change. So it is reading the file and giving us the content. Now you tell me, where would I need this? Where would I need this in my network automation? What can be stored in that file so that I can read and I can use it?
Sure, I like IP
Configuration.
interface IP.
Yes, you can keep all your device IPs in that. If you have 100 of devices, you don't have to keep inside your script. You can just put up here all 100 IPs. You can keep it. So that is one thing which you can use it for. What other things that you think you can source for an external file?
Config file.
Yes, configuration you can keep. You can keep the show commands. What else?
You can keep backup of it.
Backup would be on a reverse direction. Okay, say for example, now I'm reading it. When I go with backup, I would go with the right
When
method.
sorry for interrupting. No, when you say config, it will give the show run command, or just it will give the only the output show run. Like if we give here, you have given show, like show IP interface, we got it. If you want to get the show run, so it will execute the same, right?
It will execute the commands, whatever you're storing in the notepad. You mean to say the command will also be shown up? That is what you're asking, or?
Yes, yes, that's what I mean to say. Like, if you are running the script, we will not run only one command, show run. We will give show run, show IP interface brief, show VLAN ID, whatever.
Yes, you will put all of them here. Show run, show ARP, show IP protocol summary, show run section, OSPF. If you also want to think from networking side, you can also put conf t and do the job and then end from it. Okay, so all the things can be put up in a notepad and can be pushed it. And also username and password can also be kept across on an external file, so that no one has to change anything on the script. Whatever
Sorry,
you want.
this is a basic question. Like, when you said about like config, I write a configuration of VLAN and push it in the sense, so it will execute the print Y in the sense it will execute this will execute in the device, right?
Yes, it will execute in the device.
In the device, and it will create the VLAN. Suppose I have to create a VLAN and I use this open command, and I have I've written a configuration of a new VLAN. So this particular script, the basic script will execute that VLAN, that will create a new VLAN, right?
Yes, that will create it. But when you have properly coded it, right now you have not integrated it with any device. Okay, so you're just reading the content now. So the file that you're reading right now, it's just significant locally. You have to make a way to push this to that box now. So there are more lines coming on the script. You will make use of send config set function to push that particular content to the end devices. So there would be like many more lines coming on this particular script, which can interact on SSH, push the content of that notepad, configure VLAN, and end the session.
So
Okay,
we would also need a library for this. Suppose
yes, we need library. Exactly, we need one library which will take SSH connectivity.
Okay, so this, I mean, just for, I'm not sure if, sorry if I'm stretching long. So maybe like what we discussed earlier, Python TC or NetMake, that will work for this, right?
Correct. Yes. One of the library we have to take, and we have to write all the lines that's required here. Then that's gonna interact with your end devices. Right now,
this is just for a local system.
Yeah, right now I'm just reading some locally significant content. That's all. I'm not interactive with any network devices. Okay, so I'm just making sure you guys know a few things before we start with something. Okay, and if you guys have not ever gone through this, so this is something which you need to do your homework when you come to the next class.
So what we have to go through this to get all this concept, guys?
Yeah, I can recommend some documents. I'll share you one of my PDF, which you can go through it. So this will have all the examples with the explanation. So if you just go once, that's also sufficient, because in the next class I'm gonna demonstrate most of them. So it has all the different things. And so what are these? Python list, Python tuples, Python set, dictionaries, Python casting. This is like when you want to change one data structures to another. If you want to change string to integer or integer to string, okay, we go with the casting method. Conditions and if statement. This is very important. We will use it a lot of time to make our script more practical and more advanced. While loop, for loop. So while loop and for loop is to avoid or to simplify the repetitive iterations. So if you, let's say you have 10 devices, and all these 10 devices have to fetch show commands Okay, so first device will fetch show 10 commands. Second one will do the 10 command. So I don't have to write block by block now. I don't have to write a device one and put 10 commands here. I don't need to do device two now and put, this is not the right method. Within a single script, using the loop iterations, I can define these are my devices, 10 devices, and these are my set of collections or set of show commands. Just execute on them and give me the final output, which I can take in a notepad or I can take it in an Excel sheet. Okay, so that is to simplify the job, simplify the repetitive task. While loop has some other approaches. It has some conditions. There are two flavors here, finite and infinite. So one has some start and condition. The other one is always true in condition. Okay, Python functions. Module is nothing but library. Python regex. We have some script using regex. I will show you how this regex is used, or how do you how many of you heard about regex, or have you built any script on regex?
You meant to say regular expression. Just I have heard it, but not implemented.
Okay. So Kedar, have you built anything on this query? Have you prepared any query here?
No, not for it. I just use for like commands and stuff in CISCO.
Okay,
And I on Linux I use, but not in Python. I'm not using this.
Okay, so I'll show this in Python to pull a Excel or CSV file where you can put multiple datas like serial number, iOS version code, uptime reason, interface ID in your Excel, and which you can send to management. Let me show one quick representation of that. Let's say regex output. So this get auto generated. This file is auto generated when your Python script was executed. So it will have different devices. So you have all host name, IPs, uptime, image path, reload reason, and the serial code. You can also put multiple headers, and whatever you want to fetch in your network, you can fetch it. So this happens using regex query. Okay, accurate data which you can fetch it.
So it is reading the file from that, or how it is when we are using the.
It is not reading the file. It is reading the actual show run configuration here of the box. The query that you would be preparing inside PyCharm, that will be run against the box directly on a real time, and it will fetch that content and put back in an Excel sheet.
Okay. So you will explain this on the library, on this tomorrow, right? This.
Yes. So not all of them I'll explain tomorrow. I'll go it script by script. So whatever is frequently used one, like all till loops, I will first clear the theoretical topic with respective to that. And the rest of the things, when I start with the topic or when I start with that particular scenario, I'll explain it on the same day. Okay.
Because like I'm a beginner in Python, so yeah.
Yeah, that is what. So if I go with all theory at once, you will just confuse it. You will just not know where is this being used in actual. Okay. So we will cover at least those topics which will be used immediately on the same day or on the next day. And after 4-5 classes, when I'm taking up an advanced script and when I need regex, then I'll explain the regex, how you use it, how you build it, how you test your regex query, and then we can write a script on that on using regex, and that is how we will go. We will try to break it. Okay.
Meanwhile, like you will be sharing us a like PDF or that we can go through with all this integer or basic like array string and all.
That is true. If you have received your portal, there is a section called as some recorded videos. Okay, so this is containing all basic theoretical content. So there are 6 to 8 hours of theoretical content here. So just watch them. You can just go through them so that when I take it up in live class, you have a bit idea on a few things at least.
Sure. Do we have PDF or something? Okay.
Yeah, PDF also I have it. The one which I was showing you was a PDF. Okay.
Can that be shared?
Yeah, I'll put up on the WhatsApp group directly, because you guys do not have learning portal. So I'll give you over on the WhatsApp itself. So let me put it right away. Yeah, it's on your WhatsApp group. Okay. Yes, guys. So I think let's wind up for the day. So do you guys have any questions for me before we wind up?
We will go through the PDF, then we'll ask. Just now you shared it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, guys. So let's connect tomorrow, same time. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining.
Okay, Sagar. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.